everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kim if you're new here. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be talking about the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. This is not a new foundation, however, they have been coming out with shades that are newer recently, and so they finally came out with a shade that actually matches me, which is shade 0. When this originally came out, this had the lightest shade being shade 1, and I did end up picking it up quite a while ago, and it was a little bit too dark and too yellow undertoned for me. I am very neutral and also very, very pale, so finding foundations, especially in high-end foundation lines, it's usually tricky for me to find a shade that matches. So when I saw this, I really wanted to pick it up and try it because I did like the formula of this foundation. When I had it, it was just not the right shade. So I'm going to be doing a demo and swatch video to kind of help anybody else who is in the same shade range as me or anyone who just wants more information on this foundation. So let's get right into it. So the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation, it costs $53 Canadian through Sephora, and it is supposed to be a full coverage demi-matte long-lasting foundation enriched with hyaluronic acid, Larasil, and the concentrated power of vitamin C. Skin is moisturized, dewy, and pores appear minimized. This also does have SPF 15. If you get this in Canada, it will have a sticker covering that because we do have really strict SPF rules here. However, SPF 15 isn't enough anyways. Always make sure you're wearing actual sunscreen under your foundations or makeup, or just make sure you're protecting yourself in the sun. But getting into the claims of it being a full coverage foundation, right off the bat I can tell you that is not true. Unfortunately, unless you have extremely great skin and you barely need anything to cover it, of course then it's gonna look full coverage, but it's really not. At most, this is a high medium coverage when built up, and I'll show you in the demo right here. So I like to go in with one pump per side of my face, and I'll just be doing one side to show you the amount of coverage it gives. Basically, I've already primed my skin, prepped it. I go in with my sponge, work it from the inside out, and make sure to blend it down my neck just to make sure everything looks very seamless. This, I feel like, gives a very skin-like texture. Like, it doesn't emphasize pores, it doesn't emphasize my skin's texture. It looks extremely natural on the skin, but as you can see, it is not full coverage. It has a really hard time covering especially spots or acne, or if you have any rough patches. I mean, it'll still show through. It doesn't make them look worse, but it certainly doesn't make them look great. That's one thing to keep in mind. But with it saying that it is demi-matte, I do agree with that. Demi-matte to me just means looks natural and has like a skin-like finish. So you can see the difference side by side. It has a good amount of coverage, but you can still see obviously the blemishes peeking through. You can see my freckles kind of poking through on my cheeks and some of the color still. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish my whole face, and then I'll show you what it's like when trying to build it up. It still doesn't provide the most coverage built up. And if you try to build it up too much, because it has such a thick kind of gel-like consistency, it can have a tendency to pick up the foundation underneath, which is problematic. So if you are looking for a true full coverage foundation, I would not recommend this. But if you're looking for a really nice skin-like medium coverage foundation, this is gonna be right up your alley. I do really like the longevity of wear. I have been testing this out since I got it like about a week and a half ago, and I fell in love with it all over again, and this time it actually matched me, which was obviously a huge plus. I think that this works great over really any primer that I've tried. I usually use it with my Tatcha Liquid Silk or also the new Rare Beauty Illuminating Primer as well, and they both work great. I've tried it without primers, just on top of my sunscreens, and that works well too. So either way, I think that this works really, really nicely. I've never had a problem with it. I will say that when I use a brush, it can be harder to make it look super smooth. It usually leaves some streaking. That's why I recommend using a sponge. Of course, on their unicarton, they say to use their brush, and that's because at the time of making this, I'm not sure if they have a sponge yet. At the time, they only had a brush, and companies like to sell their application tools as well. So definitely recommend using a sponge, even using your hands. Like if I really want light coverage and I need to get out the door quick, I'll put maybe one pump, rub it all over my face with my hands, and then really quickly go over it with a sponge. That works really nicely, actually. I really like the finish that way too. But overall, I think that this is a very nice foundation. I enjoy the amount of coverage. Of course, when I'm looking for full coverage, which isn't often for me, I don't really mind seeing some blemishes pop through or have my skin looking like skin. But if I am looking for full coverage, this is not the foundation I reach for. This is a really nice everyday foundation though. And the price to me isn't terrible. It's obviously still a bit more on the high end side, but I do recommend it. So with all of my products on top, I just went in with some more concealer and obviously cheek products, everything else. I also used the Hollywood Flawless filter. Usually I use that underneath this. Today I went over top to add some extra glow to my cheeks, and I think it worked really well. So I'm going to get into the swatches of this. I'm going to swatch it next to some of my other foundations that are comparable so you can see, just in case you need more references. So here are the swatches. We're going to start out with Charlotte Tilbury in the shade 0. And then I will have the names and the shades on the screen as well of the other foundations that are next to it that I think are slightly comparable, or foundations that I can make work for me. I do not have MAC. Obviously, I'm only a cruelty-free beauty user. However, I will say that I did go cruelty-free this year, and I have tried MAC in the past. I know that, I believe it was maybe NC10. That was still a little bit too dark for me, and NC5, it was either NC or NW, they have a 5. That one was just way too yellow and too dark, so MAC is almost always too dark for me, or too deep. So if that helps in any way, maybe if you can't find a shade in MAC either, this will definitely fit your bill. Those are the swatch comparisons. I hope that helps. I know that seeing other foundations swatched next to the foundation I'm looking into helps me a lot, and also seeing it in action helps a lot. So when I was looking for swatches and videos of people using this, I found almost none. Because this is a newer shade, I found a lot of shade 1, but that wasn't really helpful. So that's why I made this video, was just to sort of help other people see this shade in action and see it in a comparative way to other foundations in my collection. So if you have any other foundations maybe that you use and you know your shade, and I didn't put them on my arm, I've tried so many foundations. I mean, I might not have tried the one that you're asking about, but it's always worth a shot to ask me to see if I've used it. Maybe I've just decluttered it. That way I can tell you if yes, this one worked for me, because then you'll figure out if it will work for you as well. But yes, I hope that this was helpful. I really hope you enjoyed this as well. Just as an overall demonstration in my review of this foundation, it was something I really wanted to put out there to document that new shade that's in the line and fill that kind of gap of demonstrating the shade. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day, evening, afternoon, good morning. And until next time, I'll see you all again. Don't forget to hit that like button if you did enjoy the video, and please subscribe. I'd love to have you here. So have a nice day.